These Leopolds are one of my favorite binoculars. Actually, I got two pairs. Keep this one in a box, ready to go. But you can see center focus, pearl prism, wider range, 100% waterproof. They're the Yosemite brand. They're not made in Germany. They're made in China, but they're of high quality standard. The caps on this side, they're designed so they don't fall off. What I did on this side is I made a very loose zip tie so I can pop these off and not lose this, because the only main problem you got with binoculars is the lens is getting dirty. These were a little over $100 on sale or discounted, but they're good binoculars, and I always keep these up by the door, hanging up by the door with the caps on them. This one I got up on a shelf as an extra pair. Tell you the truth, you can actually get some cheap stuff though that's pretty good. These are Simmons. I think they're only like $25 or something when I picked them up many years ago. They got a very big objective lens on them. You can see that. But these will not capture as much light as even those, even though they're bigger. But pretty close to these are fairly close to the performance of these, but they're quite a bit bigger, you know, to carry around. You don't want to carry these around. What I used to like to carry around all the time, especially when I was in the Marine Corps, was these little Simmons. They're fixed focus, which means it's a compromise. You know, if I try to read a license plate or some kind of letters from a ways off, these will not have the correct focus, but it still helps me a lot better than the naked eye. And they fold up, and I put them in this little case like this. It's got this little cloth in there. I had this for many years. You can see the rubber is a little bit white from how old it is. But even though these are probably 30 years old, wait a minute, maybe not quite that old. Maybe they are 30 years old. They're still good. I used them a lot out in the field. Used to always take them with me all the time. I put this minimum 52 feet, I guess it was. Pretty much if something's below 50 feet, you really don't need binoculars to look at it, but it's kind of it's a fixed focus. It's a compromise. But even with those, you know, I noticed like when the conditions are low light, a lot of times you can pick up objects with the binoculars you can't pick up with the naked eye, even with those, even though these don't have very good light gathering capabilities. These I did like. I had these a number of years, and I didn't really use them in outdoor use. They're supposed to be waterproof, but I would doubt it. But they got a very fast focus. It's a quick focus. It's freaking for $25, whatever I paid for it, well worth it. Like I said, the Leopolds, more money, but these aren't crazy priced Leopolds. I mean, you can get them for like, $400, $800, over $1,000 and going up, right? I don't like nothing electronic. I like everything simple. And these are just an 8x30, and these, despite being quite a bit smaller than these will actually pick up a little bit better light. I think these are I don't think these are an 8. Oh no, wait a minute. They're 10x50. 10x50. So, but those aren't too bad either. But if you don't have any binoculars, I would suggest, you know, somebody's going to kill me for saying this, but I would suggest getting 2 or 3 pairs that are not that great quality, rather than getting one really good quality one, depending on the application. I mean, if you're a professional huntsman or sportsman, like a real pro, you definitely got to go with the professional stuff. But for the average Joe, you're better off getting 2 or 3 pairs of something lesser quality, because you might want it different sizes. I always got by with using this and this for many years. And I also have a monocular. That's another thing that's good to have. I got a 10 power monocular. The Monocular was one I used to carry. I still got it. It's a Tasco. It's a cami green one. And the Monocular has a big objective lens on it. And, you know, you only need to look through one eye. You don't need binoculars to see what the hell's out there. You're not going to be staring at it all freaking day. Binoculars are really for, I guess, if you're on a watchtower, you're in a field position, and you're constantly overlooking the horizon. If you're just going to take a gaze out there every once in a while, the Monocular works pretty good. That's one way to get something in a small package. I'll show you what I mean. Anyway, these are that's the Binoculars. This is actually a spotting scope. This is a 10 by 30, and that picks up pretty good. If you want to pick up way down there, yeah, it would do the job very well. I use this actually a lot more than this in the Marine Corps. When I used to take this with me all the time. I don't want to go flipping it around and stuff because it's got my name and SSN on there still. I just realized it when I was photographing, you know, taking a picture. It's in there in black, not that noticeable. But this thing kicks ass too. It's a spotting scope, and tell you the truth, as a spotting scope, I don't think 36 power is enough. Really, you really want a 50 power or 60 power. Because I used to have a little bit of a hard time picking up some of the stuff with the 36 power. But I like this as sometimes just to grab it in low light situations. With this 50 millimeter objective lens, this thing picks up light better than the Leopolds because it's just got such a huge lens on it, even though this is like a $49 item or something. And if you put it on 36 power, the light gathering capabilities really is bad. But on 12 power, was where I leave it, it works great. And actually, 12 power is very difficult. It's pretty difficult to keep it kind of steady. It does have a tripod on there, but I'm going to tell you that, you know, I got the tripod. I actually use it with my cameras sometimes because it's just a standard tripod. But I don't really use the tripod unless you're ever going to the rifle range or something. You don't really need the tripod in most situations because you can just rest it on something. Like say, for instance, if I was going to look out over there, I could just rest it on the fence, or I can rest it on the car roof or whatever, you know, or some fence or some off that tire in the back there, you know, on the back of my little Suzuki. I don't really need the tripod. As long as I say I'm holding it, or say my arm is down here on my elbow, and, you know, 12 power you can hold pretty steady as long as you got something you're resting it on. But the light gathering capability with the 50 millimeter objective lens and the 12 power is freaking phenomenal. It's like it's almost like night vision. Even this thing, which has horrible light gathering capability, a lot of times I could pick up an object off in the distance with dim light with even these better than the naked eye, just because it's amplifying. I don't know, maybe it's not amplifying the light so much, but since it's bringing in the object so much closer, I can make it out better. I've noticed in dusk situations or even low light, where it's like early, say it's like a full moon out, any of these binoculars will pick up objects off in the distance way better than the naked eye. It actually seems like they brighten them up. If you're going in with something like this, it's going to work a lot. The Leopolds work pretty damn good. But you know, that would be about the most I would spend on binoculars, something like this. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. It depends though. I mean, like if you're a guy that's like, that's your whole livelihood, get the best stuff. But for the average Joe, it doesn't pay. Do what you want, but in my humble opinion, these are a little over 100, maybe 115 to 120 bucks. They're going to serve you for many years, and you're not going to get that much more service out of something that's maybe, you know, $800. And I don't trust stuff that's got electronics in it, stabilization and all this garbage. It's just more stuff to break. I know it's whiz bang awesome when it works, but when it don't work, it's screwed up. And it says most of the time, Most of the time, you can just, there's plenty of freaking trees or something out there, or maybe just crouch down, get in a kneeling position, and sort of like make a little tripod out of your body, and or whatever, or use something as a stick as a rest. You really don't need that stabilization, where it's got the little motor in there and stuff to stabilize you with the gyros. You don't need all that garbage. But I always use these all the time. These were freaking awesome, man. They're 10 by 30s. And it's got an extra short focus on it. I don't know what the hell you need that shit for, but it does focus pretty quick. I put the white tape on there. Sometimes that's good. If I get something in focus, I remember approximately where the white tape was, the 2 white pieces of white tape, and I'll keep it that way. And it makes it simple. But you don't need to spend a lot of bucks on this garbage. I'd recommend you get, I wouldn't recommend just getting one thing. I would recommend getting like a small monocular and, something like these Simmons if you don't have much money. Say you want to spend 50 bucks. Spend 25 bucks on binoculars with as big objective lens as you can get. As long as they're a big lens, it may not be the best design or the best stuff, but if it's a big lens, kind of bulky, kind of heavy, but they'll work okay. These have been around for years, and this thing's been out in the field forever, man. That thing's been all over the place, man. I always had it in this thing though too, and inside the Alice pack, which I know they call something else now. Made in Japan, made in China, made in Japan, and this thing's been around a lot, actually, believe it or not. But I care for my stuff, man, because I know it's important that it has to last, So, anyway, but you pay something like this. This is dirt cheap too. So, you don't need to pay a lot of money to freaking have something good. That's what it really comes down to. You don't need to pay big bucks. So you're better off getting a couple cheap things for 50 bucks for the total price. One of them screws up, you got a backup. And if you go for a spotting scope, I would try to get something that's up to 60 power. Or even 80 power. Because I found his 36 power is a little limited. That's just my humble opinion. But I used to shoot a lot on the range, and I really didn't like the 36 power. Was a little bit like, what the hell is it, man? You can't freaking, especially the 5.56 hole, you can't see that shit too well, man. 30 cal hole. Well, maybe I'll be firing the AR-47s a lot more, make a 30 cal hole and be able to see that a lot better. But I don't know. As a matter of fact, I might get something right now, order something right now with a more powerful spotting scope, maybe 60 or 80 power. But I've been very happy with these. That's why I got 2 pairs of them. There's a full another pair in here right now. Full another pair. That's my go-to one right there that I keep over there right by the side door, by the kitchen. And I keep all these other stuff. Actually, as a matter of fact, this one goes with my CPA bag all the time too. When I go to the accounting office, that's with me all the time. Joe Jet, McReady, or whatever the hell you call that guy, man. So I always carry stuff on me like this. As a matter of fact, you're even better off getting some of these monoculars and keeping them in your car if you're nice and compact, because they don't take up much room, man. And anytime you need to use one, I remember a lot of times I have this bag with me. I have that bag with the accounting stuff in it with me. And if I'm in a traffic jam, I'll get out the car and I'll take this and I'll go stand up on a bumper or something, and I'll go look way the hell out there, and I'll go see what the hell's the problem is way up there. It's just cool just knowing because you could see that, you could see up a mile ahead. If there's an accident or some bullshit or something fell on the road, you know. It's kind of good to have. And if you're traveling someplace and something crazy happens, that's always good to know, because you never know, like, you know, what's going on up ahead of you. If you can see it with your binoculars, you can make a decision on at that point whether you should wait or turn around and try to take an alternative route. So that's another reason to keep them in the cars.